Hi there. I'm Rachel, and this is my book, I Want to Be Alone. Just before I read it, I just wanted to give a little bit of information about my book. I have my notes over here. So, I created this book because I saw a definite need in my class, in my own personal class. I teach 3 year olds, 3 to 4 year olds, and something that I noticed one day was that this girl who seems to be very popular in the class lately has been like the most preferred playmate for a lot of other kids there, and she at some point got very overwhelmed about with about the fact that a lot of the kids wanted to play with her, and the way they were expressing their interest in play, which was pulling on her arm, pulling on her body, her shirt. And it got to a point where she just got really overwhelmed and didn't have the expressive language to really communicate the way that she felt. The way that she ended up just expressing it was, I want to be alone. Even though we came after speaking to her, we realized that she did actually want to play, but she didn't like the way that the other kids were being towards her. So since I saw this need, we thought, I was thinking to myself, okay, so there's 3 things that I really want to focus on in this book. The first 2 specifically are the ones that I really focus on, but the first is that I noticed that when a lot of stimuli is present, it can be really difficult for young children to understand what is bothering them and put it into words, which is why this girl had a really hard time because she didn't have the expressive language. It can also be really difficult for children to think of the words to self-advocate, and that's something that I really want to promote in this book. And the first two things are actually what I'm really focusing on. But another thing that I also notice, it can be difficult for a group of children to really understand where another person is coming from, if they're coming from a really good, positive place that they want to play with a person, and they're not um, they're not really doing it in a way that the other person wants. Like pulling on their arm. So the first 2 are really the ones that I focus on a lot: self advocacy skills and a child being able to express their emotions and using their words to do so. Um, so one thing that I really focus on is in this book that I try to do is interactive reading. So I'll ask the kids. Um, I'll like talk to them during it and ask them their opinions, and I instill that in the book in a lot of ways. I ask them what do they think is going to happen, or what do they think this person is feeling. So I do that a lot. I have characters that the children can relate to. So even if obviously if I read this in my class, they're going to be able to relate to it. But even on a larger scale, if I read it to other children, I really do think that at this in this age group, I really do think that they can relate to these types of characters. Um, I use phrases and terms like brave and use your words and please don't touch my body, um, so that the children can get a more deeper sense um, of what act like concrete and tactile phrases that they can actually use, and in a relevant context. I thought that was helpful. Another goal that I mentioned is the self advocacy skills that children need to use when they feel uncomfortable, and in order to really process such things, young children must most important oral language learning situations occur through the conversations they engage in or listen to with the children and adults around them. So that's why you see in the book that the child goes to the adult for support and they have a conversation. The child engages with the other children, so they also have a conversation. And throughout the book, I mean, we're having conversations. So that helps with expressive and receptive language. And the last part is developmental emotional literacy accelerates once children have language to express themselves. So when children learn a feeling or a word that matches their experiences, they gain new emotional understanding. This is one of my favorite quotes in the entire paper that I found. And I really, really love this quote because I mean, this is what I really want to promote at the end of the day. I want to promote the fact that children can, self advocate with their own words. And I feel like this can really empower them. So, my book, I Want to Be Alone. So, I would first ask them, what do you notice? What do you notice on the front page? What do you think this person is feeling? And as you can see, it's a person that doesn't really is either scared or wants to be alone or doesn't, is covering her face. So they'll talk about that. It's a beautiful sunny Thursday. Today is a really exciting day since the class is able to use the big playground. The children love this playground because it's big and looks like a castle with many areas to climb and play. Oh, wow, and I would ask them, oh, wow, what do you see in that picture? What are some things that you see that these kids can play with? And I would just talk to them about the picture and what they see and what they notice. Miss Jules asks all of the children to calmly stand on line so that they could go outside together. One of the children, Sandra, listens to the message and stands behind her friend, Jimmy. All of a sudden, she feels Jennifer and Max both pull on her arms and yell, "Stand next to me, Sandra, stand next to me." How do you think this makes Sandra feel? And then we have a conversation about that, about how Sandra feels. And this would really open up a lot of practice with language, and also just trying to put themselves in a character and understand and relate. And then I would ask them, what do you think this picture is about? This picture is really just someone pulling on each other, so that's how I would relate. Sandra doesn't say anything, so Miss Jules comes over and asks, Sandra, do you like when they pull on your arms? No, not really, says Sandra. Replied Miss Jules. Then what can you say to them? What do you think Sandra should say? So in this part, I really try to make the kids an active participant in the book, interactive reading, like I said, and I'd ask them their opinions. And I'd also just talk about the picture. Who do you think this is in the book? How do you think this person is feeling? Really getting them into the story and making them active participants. Sandra takes a moment to think and then replies, I can say, please don't pull on my arms. I don't like that. Please use your words. Yes, Sandra, that's an excellent idea. Sandra then tries this idea. Please don't pull on my arms. I don't like that. Please use your words. Sandra says to Max and Jennifer, what do you think Max and Jennifer will say? And we'll just have a conversation about, it's basically a conversation about what they predict will come next. And this also gets them I think this would really get them engaged and involved in the story a little bit more, that they can kind of predict and wonder about what would happen next and what the other person's response would be. Okay, Sandra, we just want to play with you, they reply. This makes Sandra feel happy. Okay, but we'll play outside together, Sandra says. How do you think that turned out? Then I'll ask them how they think that turned out. Was it good? Or, just have a conversation about it. And I'd leave it very open-ended. How do you think that turned out? Instead of, did that turn out good? Or did that turn out bad? Because this, I feel, leaves a more open-ended option. So we can actually have a conversation that can use your language skills. Everyone goes outside and begins playing with each other. Kids are busy playing tag, riding bikes, talking to each other, and climbing structures. Things are going really well until, Sandra, come play with me, Max yells as he pulls on Sandra's dress. Sandra, you said we could play house, Anna says as she pulls on Sandra's arm in the other direction. Sandra has had enough. She yells at the top of her lungs, I want to be alone. How do you think Sandra feels right now? And then we talk about it. And I'd ask them, how do you think Sandra feels? And then we'd also talk about the picture. Who do you think that is? How do you think this person feels? I'm just talking about it, keeping it open-ended. Sandra runs to a corner in the playground and sits down. She looks sad and frustrated. Miss Jules comes over and asks, what's wrong, Sandra? But Sandra only replies, I want to be alone right now. Why do you want to be alone, Sandra? Asks Miss Jules. I don't know, I just want to be alone, Sandra says. Do you think we can help Sandra explain how she feels? Why do you think she wants to be alone? And then this part, we would really just try to open up a conversation about how, how Sandra feels and what, let's help her. And so engaging the kids in that. Yes, you helped. Thank you. Phew. Sandra's had the words now. Sandra thinks that answers because everyone's pulling on my body and I don't like it. Of course you don't, Sandra. I completely understand how that can be frustrating, Miss Julie says. Miss Julie looks at Sandra and notices she is watching her friends play. Can I ask you a question, Sandra? Do you